Very cool. Well, super excited to have you here. So, if you are struggling with life's challenges or you're feeling crappy about feeling crappy, then today's live is going to be all for you. We're going to be diving into this topic about how to transcend life's challenges through the power of resilience and higher consciousness. I'm super excited to talk about this. So, let's go ahead and dive in on this topic. So, welcome to Divine Earth School, the place where you align with your divinity and align your life and your business and all aspects of yourself with your higher self. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to deal with the sucky or crappy parts of life. And we're also going to be talking about, I'm going to give you practical guidance on cultivating resilience and shifting to a higher consciousness or higher state of awareness or higher perspective to overcome whatever challenges that you might be traversing at this time. So let's go ahead and dive in on this topic, right? So if you're joining me live, feel free to say hi in the chat. Um, so I'm super excited. So today I really want to talk about, let's first talk about understanding, life's challenges and how and why they come up, right? I might be tuning into my divine team if they have something. Sometimes they chime in, so that also will happen. Just to let you know. So if I kind of close my eyes or something of that nature, that happens, and that's what's going on. But let's talk about why contrast or life challenges come up in the first place, right? So one of the main reasons is we came here when we incarnated on this planet, we knew that contrast, what I like to call contrast or duality, if you want to look at it that way, we knew that that was a part of the game on planet Earth, right? Earth is one of the most densest forms of matter that we experience life, and we knew that experience individualism, we could experience what it is to discover what love is, abundance is in these flesh meat suits, what I call our flesh suits, right? Our earthly bodies, right? So we knew as souls coming into this physical plane that we would experience both the light and the dark. We knew that that was an aspect of it. And so that is a part of sort of what I like to call the divine play, the divine game that we're a part of. And so a lot of times when we're on our spiritual journey or we're just traversing life, we have a tendency, especially if you developed or cultivated any level of self-awareness, we have a tendency to try to make ourselves feel bad, or we don't try to, but like it kind of unconsciously happens where we feel bad about feeling bad, right? Or we feel crappy and we don't feel like we've created the life that we want, or something isn't going our way, or we're working towards something, but something hits us at left field. We're like, what? I thought this was going to go happen, right? And so we start to feel crappy about life, right? We feel down, or maybe just a surge of emotions, or you're picking up, if you're empathic like me, sometimes you pick up other people's emotions unconsciously and you didn't even recognize it as you're doing it. You can have your protection shield, protecting your psychic energy in place. And so you might feel down for a few hours or a couple of years or whatever, right? Not years, a couple of days or whatever, right? And so let's talk about really the reason why contrast happens is because it's what we signed up for, right? If you want to talk about why, that's really what it is. We signed up for the roller coaster ride of life because we knew that through going through the darkness we would come to the light. Going through this contraction we would be able to expand even more. We would be able to experience the beauty and the different spiritual lessons that we knew that we wanted to come and explore, right? So let's talk about understanding resilience, right? So resilience really is the ability to bounce back from adversity and navigate difficult situations, right? So if when you think of a rubber band, right? Like if you're in the rubber band, resilience is that ability to snap back, right? To sort of like tuning back into your true self, right? And part of like dealing with the contrast and forget who we are is that we forget who we are. We knew that forgetfulness would be a part of that journey. We knew that we would come into these flesh suits, and we would forget sometimes that we are divine, right? We would forget that we could traverse any life situation or event that is coming up for us. We forget that, life isn't always going to be crappy. We forget that, if someone disrespected us, or if you lost a job, or if you got in an argument with your partner, whatever that situation is that you're traversing, and you feel some kind of way about it, we forget that we not only have innate within us that we're loved, embodied, right? But we forget that we can tap into these states of awareness, feel the emotions, and then transcend and bounce back out of it, right? So that's really what resilience is. It's the ability to bounce back from any adversity or any quote unquote negative. I don't really like to call it negative because every situation has a purpose. Like even the darkness is there for us to tap more fully into our light, right? We all have dark and light within us, right? So thing is, it's really important to start building resilience so that you can cope with life's challenges, so that you don't find yourself, being depressed for years and years on end, or you feel disconnected from your higher self, or you feel like you're not making the right moves, or you don't even feel like you're connected with your life's purpose, right? So resilience helps you to cope with life's challenges, and that's why it's really important to start building it. And it's really a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time. Because as you traverse life, the more life you experience, right, the more wisdom you gain, and the more you start to recognize that every crappy, quote unquote, or sucky life situation that happens, there's always going to be a brighter day. The sun is always shining, right? Maybe some clouds, right? Today it's raining where I'm at. And the clouds, I'm not going to go outside and be like, oh my God, the sun is never going to shine. Actually, the sun is already shining. It's just right now the clouds are sort of blocking it. And so I can't quite see it, right? You are a light being. You're always shining your light. It's just maybe misperceptions, beliefs, thoughts, and ideas, or usually it's those or emotions, deep-seated emotions that we haven't dealt with, is sort of lurking and clouding our own light, clouding our own ability to access our own innate love and self-awareness and guidance, right? So that is really what a resilience is. So let's talk about accepting and acknowledging the crappy part. So it's really important to, one of the things that I've been traversing in my own life and coming into knowing about life as well, that my higher self has been guiding me on starting to embrace the crappy parts of life, what we would deem as the crappy parts of life. One of the ways that we can do that is to cease from labeling crappy parts of life as this, labeling it as a crappy part, or you can label it as it is and be like, oh, okay, that was a dark moment, or that was a dip in the roller coaster, right? So that must mean that I'm about to rise back up, right? So you can either, it's two ways that kind of helps me. Either I cease labeling it, because sometimes going into a neutral state about life situation helps me not to have such a negative charge around it, have this sort of dense forms of energy of like anger, sadness, resentment, jealousy, any of those darker emotions that might come up, right? So having like a neutral meaning or no towards life situations sometimes helps me to get back to the truth of who I am. And sometimes that doesn't work. So I'll use being able to label it, okay, that really sucks. I can't believe that just happened. Why is this such a crappy moment? Why is this going on? And then labeling, okay, well, this is how I felt. And then labeling the emotion might also help me to get there, because then I'm able to then dive into the emotion, allow myself to feel the emotion, and then bounce back, right? So it's important to accept and acknowledge these difficult and unpleasant experiences, because it allows us to bounce back. If we don't accept it, we sort of create repression in our energy, repression in our emotions, repression in our life situations, and then we can create a loop, feedback loop, that ends up causing us to feel stuck and stagnant because we're not dealing with our emotions, we're not dealing with energy and whatever lesson we're here to learn in this moment, right? We're not allowing ourselves to feel the darkness so that we can come out into the light, or feel the contraction so that we can bounce back into expansion, right? So that part of it is really the second part of that, out of either labeling it as neutral or just embracing your emotions and the thoughts associated with these life challenges rather than suppressing them, right? So one of the things that you can do is to start to tap in to accepting the reality of the situation, right, is the first step towards finding a solution and moving forward. And then you can start to bring in, once you bring in acceptance, then you can start bringing in this next step, which is about shifting to a higher state of consciousness, right? So if we had to label these as steps, right, the first piece is understanding that you're resilient, and resilience is something that you can cultivate. The second step is really accepting and acknowledging the crappy parts, which is you're labeling the piece from labeling it and putting it in a situation. One example of that is, let's say someone cuts you off or whatever, or someone yells at you, screams at you. You depends on your state of consciousness, really, and your ability to not be triggered. Um, so you got to kind of gauge where you are with this. But the neutral, labeling it as a neutral situation is, oh, that has nothing to do with me. Or I'm not going to give that meaning because that's that person's stuff and has nothing to do with me, right? Or let's say you didn't get a job, or you didn't get that promotion, or your spouse or partner got on your nerves. You can kind of, it depends on where you are. Gauge where you are energetically with this, kind of brush it away. It's like, it doesn't, that has no meaning or any significance upon what I'm creating next, right? This is just contrast showing itself, and I'm going to stand firm in the energy of knowing of who I truly am and what I truly desire, right? So even in the face of contrast, it really doesn't have any meaning. Or if you're not in that level of awareness, putting yourself in a neutral state of being and relabeling or non-labeling life situations with no meaning, requires a higher state of energy. You have to be sort of in this higher state in order for that to kind of shift into the higher state of awareness and back into your expanded state. If you're not there, then this next sort of energetic aid that you can use, vibrational aid, is just sort of labeling the emotion, embracing your emotions. That really sucks. I can't believe that person yelled at me, or I can't believe I didn't get the job or the promotion. Like, why? Who does he think he is? Talking to me like that, or we need to sit down and talk because this is not whatever, right? You need to feel the emotion. Right now I'm feeling really crappy, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling scared or fearful, whatever the emotion, feel it and be like, okay, I'm gonna allow myself to feel anger, sadness, frustration, right? And then allow yourself to feel there. And then moving into step number 3, which is shifting to a higher state of consciousness, right? So in this shifting to a higher state of consciousness, you allow yourself to really expand into what your soul's point of view would be, like what your divine team or your spirit guide's point of view is, right? So you can't really get there if you haven't accepted, right, the crappiness that's kind of going on. So this part really involves you expanding your awareness beyond the limitations of your mind, beyond the limitations of your limiting beliefs, but beyond the limitations of those dense, dark emotions that you might be feeling, right? And how you get there is you have to allow yourself to feel it to heal it, right? You might have heard that saying, feel it. In order to transcend denser emotions, you have to feel it in order to let the energy be where it is to flow, right? Emotion, it's energy in motion, right? So one of the benefits of adopting a higher state of consciousness and gaining sort of the perspective of your higher self is that you gain clarity, you gain wisdom, and a broader understanding of your life. So you're no longer looking through the sort of myopic lens of your life, and you're no longer looking through the lens of your limiting beliefs or thoughts or emotions that might be hindering you from tapping into the infinite possibilities that are available to you at each and every moment, right? And so some of the practices that you can use is mindfulness, meditation, and self-reflection, right? Journaling, allowing yourself to scream and hit a pillow, right? Or allowing yourself to meditate, listening to guided meditations, or mindfulness is the power of presence or nature, utilizing nature or using tarot cards to get more guidance or whatever. There's a lot of different vibrational aids that you can utilize here to help you shift to your higher state of consciousness. Choose one that resonates most for you. For me, a lot of it is usually meditation, mindfulness, journaling, nature. Those are usually my go-tos, and using tarot and oracle cards as well. But utilizing that, and sometimes chanting or just singing, that also helps to shift my energy too, or exercising. So you got to, there's a lot of different ways that you can shift your energy. But I just wanted to share the piece here is all about shifting to a higher state of consciousness. And one of the ways that you can do that is, let's say, I gave you like 5 different ways, but one exercise that you can try here is to take your journal and then write in the journal, I wonder what my higher self's perspective is on this life event, right? And then get quiet and get still. And then write down whatever comes to you, right? Don't censor yourself. If you receive any guidance, whether it's clear audience, if you see a vision, if you hear something, if you have this inner knowing, just like a knowing, or you sense something like a certain type of energy or feeling, write whatever that is down, right? And by doing that, you'll be able to start to tap into your higher self's perspective, and you're no longer feeling like you're disconnected from what's going on, right? And you can gain more of that clarity and that wisdom, and then clarity on whatever next steps you need to take, if there is any next steps that you need to take, right? And then the fourth piece of this, of how to overcome or how to transcend life's challenging moments, is cultivating resilience, right? um, And one of the ways that you can do that is developing more of a positive mindset, right? And reframing negative experiences as opportunities for growth and expansion, right? So instead of saying, well, this shouldn't have happened, when you release the shoulds and shouldn'ts, right? You start to release attachment, which is one of sort of life's spiritual lessons that many of us are here to learn, right? And when you release attachment, you can say, okay, I wonder what this is here to teach me. I wonder how I'm going to expand and even grow even more out of this, right? You can start to be more inquisitive rather than going into sort of a fixed mindset, rather than going into sort of this stagnation. You can go into a growth mindset, an expanded mindset, which allows you to grow into and move more into your next phases that much more quicker and that much more effortless, because you're no longer offering resistance to what is, right? Instead of in your mind saying, this shouldn't be happening, I should have gotten this, or he should or she should, or whatever shoulds that we imply or interject into the present moment. We release that, we come into this present moment. Okay, this is what's going on, this is how I'm feeling, this is why, whatever reason you want to give it, right? A lot of times, if you not giving it a reason sometimes can help you move into your higher state of consciousness, right? Doing that little exercise. I wonder what my higher self's perspective is on this. And then the next piece of that exercise that you can do is, what would be some of my next steps? What are 1 to 3 next steps that I can do starting today or starting now to help me move into more of what I truly desire versus how I'm feeling right now, right? Or whatever is occurring right now. And then write down those steps, right? And then start to move towards taking action on that, right? So cultivating resilience is really about, shifting your mindset into one that is a divine mind, right? Shifting your mindset into the divine mind versus into the limited egoic human mind, right? And another aspect of this is cultivating self-care, right? Including physical exercise, healthy eating, and getting enough rest, right? One of the things I just posted on our channel here or on Instagram, and I talked about how it's okay to feel crappy. It's okay to give yourself a day or 2 or 3 to feel crappy, and to feel, to journal your emotions, to listen to sad songs, right? To watch sad movies and to feel those emotions. It's totally fine. You're not a bad person. You're not any less spiritual if you do those things, right? So giving yourself that self-care, taking that bubble bath, or treating yourself to that, cake and vegan ice cream or whatever is not a bad thing, right? We're here for the highs and lows. So allow yourself to feel the emotion, to be in that, and to cultivate self-care around that, and then get back to your regular routine, right? If you need to take a day off of rest or a day of, wallowing or whatever, that's fine, right? But can the next day then be like, okay, I'm gonna exercise, I'm gonna eat my healthy green smoothie, I'm gonna do my this, I'm gonna do my that, I'm gonna go take a walk out of nature to kind of lift my energy, lift my spirits, and then just sort of, give yourself the spaciousness to feel whatever you're feeling so that you can bounce back, right? And then the fifth step is applying resilience and higher consciousness in your daily life, right? So one of the ways that you can apply, another way, hopefully I've given you a lot of examples. If you're joining me live, feel free to say hi. Let me know if this is resonating with you in the chat. I would love to hear from you guys. But one of the ways that you can do that is to, what was I saying? Applying resilience and higher consciousness to daily life. Another way that you could do this is through the power of gratitude and starting to look at life through a glass half full approach, right? Looking at finding the silver linings in difficult circumstances, right? And one of the ways that you can do that is to start to cultivate sort of a positive, not just a positive mindset, but sort of start to like mine your life for life's golden nuggets, right? So if someone cuts you off while you're driving, one of the ways that a different perspective on that of saying, okay, well, that dude's just a total asshole, or that girl is a total asshole, right? You can go there, or you're like, you know what? That helped me to become more present and become more aware of my surroundings while I'm driving. Because sometimes, a lot of times when we're driving, we might find ourselves, our minds wandering off. And by someone cutting you off, it alerts you. And now you have to be back in the present moment. And so you could be like, oh, well, this helped me to shift back into my present moment awareness and to be here now versus letting my mind wander off into whatever else it's wandering off into. So you can start to look at life's silver linings, right? Like, I didn't get that job, right? Or I didn't get that promotion. Well, maybe this is prompting me to start my own side hustle or my own business, or maybe I'm going to get even better job. Maybe that job wasn't the right one for me. Or if you've gotten into an argument with your spouse or loved one, or your kids are acting up and you're just like, oh my God, why is this shouldn't be happening? You're like, well, maybe this is a time for me to connect more deeply with my loved ones, to have those uncomfortable conversations that I've been holding off, right? You can start to look at life through a sort of a rosy tinted lens so that you can move past these sucky moments and these crappy moments more quickly. Because when you give it these positive meanings, and when you start to look at the silver linings of life's difficult circumstances or challenging circumstances, you then find yourself, you energetically put yourself into a higher state of consciousness, into a higher state of frequency, right? And so you're no longer allowing yourself to vibrate so low all the time, right? So you move out of that energetic frequency of dense, dark emotions all the time, because that can be a habit in that of itself, right? Where you are feeling crappy about yourself, you have self-doubt, or you're, have a negative inner critic, right? The inner critic says, oh, you're crappy, you haven't done anything, or you're not worth loving, and all this other negative stuff that might go on. By looking at life still through the silver lining, or looking through life through sort of a rosy tinted glasses, you start to elevate your consciousness and your energetic frequency on a day-to-day basis, so that you're no longer moving from this sort of I'm not worthy, or I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy to be loved, or whatever other limiting beliefs that we have a tendency to be in, right? So that's really sort of the fifth step. So let's do sort of a recap. Let me make sure I wanted to cover everything. Oh, the last piece I wanted to talk about is practicing the power of forgiveness, right? Both towards yourself and towards others, right? Allowing yourself to release emotional baggage so that you can move forward, right? Forgiveness doesn't only apply to other people, right? Because forgiveness really just comes from this idea that someone missed the mark. And in actuality, people do crappy things, and we do crappy things to ourselves and to other people, right? That's just a part of life. But part of this higher state of consciousness is starting to recognize that, I'm human, and being human means I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to go down into that darkness. I'm going to go up and down on this roller coaster of life. So I'm going to give myself the grace and the spaciousness to love myself anyways, or to love that person anyways, even if they did me wrong, even if they betrayed me, even if they said something mean, even if they weren't supportive of my dreams, even if I didn't get this, or even if this thing didn't go right, or whatever the situation is, right? I'm going to give that person or myself the grace, right? Like you would give grace to a baby who's learning to crawl. You're not going to yell at the baby for falling down. You know that that's a part of life, right? You know that falling down, making mistakes is a part of the journey of learning how to walk confidently. If the baby didn't fall and sort of One of the things you kind of learn in yoga too, when you're doing yogic poses, it's a lot of these balancing poses. You're going to wiggle and wobble. You're not going to yell at yourself for wiggling and wobble. That's your body's way of finding equilibrium. That's your body's way of finding balance. So that when you go back and do that pose again, you're a lot more stronger and firmer, right? It's the same thing in different aspects of life, right? Giving yourself that room to wobble and wiggle and fall off balance helps you to when you attempt the thing again or move forward in whatever way area of life that you're traversing these challenges in, you come back even stronger and even more resilient, right? So I think that's all I wanted to share today about, how to transcend life's challenges and how to deal with the crappy parts of life, right? And let's do a recap. Step one is to really understand that you're resilient. You are a divine being and you can cultivate resilience because it can be strengthened over time. Because you start to, one of the things I wanted to say on this last piece is as you go through life, you start to recognize that every time something bad, quote unquote, bad happens, or something unwanted happens, right? Or life throws you a curveball or a challenge hits or whatever, or a difficult situation arises, there's always a solution. There's always a solution. No matter what we traverse, maybe in that moment it feels like there's no solution. Maybe we feel foggy. Maybe there's no clarity. Maybe there's no, no, we're not accessing or tapping into our inner guidance or that wisdom that's always there. Maybe we feel disconnected, right? But we're always connected. There's always a solution. And as you go through life, you start to see, okay, this is the cycle of life, right? This is that cycle of life. We're always going to feel that up and down motion, like no matter how great life is, and it can be great for a long period of time, but there's always going to be something that just rubs you the wrong way or something doesn't quite go your way. It's just a part of life. But then there's always another solution. And so you start to develop that thick skin, that resilience, and things don't like knock you off balance so hard anymore because you're like, oh, okay, this is just another dense emotional situation. Let myself feel whatever I need to feel and then I'll move on. Like maybe a week from now, and certain things take longer, right? Certain things take whatever time they need to take to heal, right? If you were sexually abused, that might take some months, right? That might take you going to therapy and really processing and dealing with letting the body feel and go through its whole emotional and physical states of being and transcending the sort of violations that have been done there, and then going on a mental level of healing the mind and the emotional level, right? It might take months depending on what it is, and it might just take a couple of minutes. It depends on what it is, but giving yourself that grace and knowing that it's okay wherever I'm at right now. Maybe I've been violated, or maybe something didn't go my way, or whatever. It's going to take whatever time it needs to take, but allowing yourself the grace is what gives you that sense of resilience, right? So I think I'm complete. And I really wanted to, if you're joining me live, feel free to say hi in the chat. I'm going to recap these these five things that I shared with you on how to transcend life's challenging moments. And here they are. Number one is understanding that you're a divine being. You can develop and cultivate resilience because that's just who you are, and you cultivate resilience by the next steps that I'm going to share with you. Step two is accepting and acknowledging the crappy parts of life. And one of the ways that I talked about that is allowing yourself to embrace your emotions, allowing yourself to embrace the limiting beliefs or quote unquote negative or unwanted thoughts that arise, and seeing them as this just an aspect of your human journey, and that's not who you are, and that you can learn and grow and expand from that, right? So accepting and acknowledging the crappy part. This is happening. That sucked. That didn't go my way. Okay. I'm allowed to feel how I want to feel. Like it's actually quite normal and human to feel whatever I'm feeling right now, because that didn't quite go the way that I thought it should go, right? And that's perfectly normal. So step two is accepting and acknowledging the crappy parts of life, right? Giving yourself the space to embrace your emotions and your thoughts associated with these life challenges rather than suppressing them. Step three is shifting to a higher state of consciousness. Once you embrace these emotions and thoughts and limiting beliefs, not embraced in the sense that you're like going to hold on to them, but you embrace them in the sense that you acknowledge that they're there. You can then shift to a different higher consciousness or state of awareness. And one of the exercises I talked about that is taking your journal and being able to, tap in and get quiet and still and say, I wonder what my soul's perspective is on this, or I wonder what my higher self's perspective is on this, or whatever word resonates with you. I wonder what source's perspective is on this life event, right? Because if we're all aspects of the divine, right? Our souls, our higher self, source, God, infinite intelligence, spirit is not freaking out about this, right? Only our human selves is. And that's perfectly fine. That's what we came to experience. But once we embrace the emotions, we allow ourselves to feel the emotions, we can then shift and be like, okay, I wonder what's a different perspective on this? And then that's sort of shifting to the higher state of consciousness. That's step 3. Step 4 is cultivating resilience, right? And that's sort of starting to develop a positive mindset. And instead of being in a fixed mindset, you start to develop a growth mindset. So reframing negative experiences as opportunities for growth and expansion. And step number 5 was applying resilience and higher consciousness to daily life. And one of the 2 ways that I talked about that was practicing the power of gratitude for what you have already, finding the silver lining, well, 3 ways. Finding the silver lining, or looking at life through sort of rose-colored glasses, or looking at life as the glass half full versus a glass half empty, right? And then another aspect of this is starting to practice forgiveness for yourself and forgiveness for others. We all miss the mark. We all make mistakes. That's a part of being human. We didn't come here to be on a high all the time. If that was the case, we wouldn't have incarnated on planet Earth, right? We knew just by being on this planet or this dualistic plane that there would be ups and downs. We knew that this was going to be a part of the journey. So giving yourself the grace and the spaciousness and the forgiveness of yourself and others, whatever the life situation, whether someone, cussed out your mama, or you didn't get the job, or the person, you got dumped, or, whatever, you felt violated or disrespected, or whatever situation is going on, right? Give yourself that grace, and then eventually give others the grace as well, because no one else is perfect either, right? We're all human. We're all fallible. That's a part of life. So those are my 5 tips that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully this resonated. Let me know in the comments below if you resonated with today's live. I hope that these tips help you to transcend whatever life or crappy situation gives yourself the permission slip to do and feel how you feel, and to then move into the expanded state of consciousness and your expanded state of awareness. Let me know in the comments, which of these tips was most helpful for you. I would really love to know. Also, I wanted to share with you that I'm actually having a summer sale on, let me see. I'm having a summer sale on my alignment session. So if that's something that you would be interested in, then definitely go ahead and check out, then go ahead and check out, let me pop this in the chat. I'm having a summer sale that's going on right now, and I wanted to let you guys know about it. If that's something that does resonate for you, you can pop that in the chat. Make sure. Yeah. Just go ahead and go to that link. You can check out the sale that I have going on. And if you're new to my alignment sessions and you don't know anything about that, I'll go ahead and add this link as well. Let me see. Okay. Go ahead and there at that link, you can learn all about my alignment sessions. And right now I'm having a summer sale for the next 7 days, so you can check that out. So thanks so much for joining me for today's live, today's Soul Nugget Sunday. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and that whatever you're traversing, always know that there is better days ahead, that you will traverse this because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to journey and traverse through. And thank you so much. Remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you accept is what you'll get. And however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. And remember to always flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't. Talk to you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.